Hey guys, I'm Kristen Howerton from Raging Against the Minivan.
I'm Elizabeth Esther from elizabethesther.com.
And you are watching So Totally Relidge, our weekly recap of religious brouhahas on the internet. We try to go over religious topics each week, focusing on hot topics and the things that are buzzing in the blogosphere. And this week we decided to talk about the morning after pill. We've been seeing quite a bit of posts and concern about the morning after pill, and specifically the fact that the Obama administration just lowered the age to 15, that girls aged 15 and above can get the pill over the counter without consent of the parent.
Right.
Thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's interesting. Some of the new research that we've been reading seems to indicate that the way that Plan B was originally it was called the abortion pill. I mean, that's the way I heard about it, a decade or so ago when all of this was going on. Or I guess it came out 14 years ago. But there were a lot of Christians and pro-lifers who were opposed to the morning after pill because on the label it said it can inhibit implantation of a fertilized egg. So, but recent studies that we're finding here are saying that it's not. That mainly the way it works is to delay ovulation. I still feel as a mom that I would be really uncomfortable if my daughter went in. She's 13 now. If she went in at 15 and she done that, and without my consent and me even knowing what was going on, so there's so many layers here that are.
Let's talk about the abortion debate first,
okay,
and then let's talk about our daughters.
Okay.
So, as you mentioned, a lot of Christians have viewed this as the abortion pill, although it is a bit confusing because there is a pill that I think most people would, and even doctors would generally agree is an abortion pill, which is a completely different pill than the Plan B / morning after pill and has a totally different effect. The abortion pill, the real abortion pill, and there's a fancy scientific name for it that I'm forgetting, but I'll link it below. But that pill, what that does is it causes the uterus to contract and expel a fetus. Okay, that is an abortion pill. I have had friends who have had abortions that way. You go to a doctor, you take this pill, you go home, you have intense cramping, and you basically terminate the pregnancy by delivering the fetus or the baby, however you want to put it. I don't really want to get into language terminology. That's a derail from the conversation, but that is an abortion pill, absolutely. This is not. Plan B is completely different. Plan B, what it really is the same thing as the birth control pill, only you're taking it all at once. And so what research is indicating is that the reason it works is because it delays ovulation. Christians are concerned that there's a possibility that it could work by making the lining so that a zygote, meaning a fertilized egg, could not implant. And as far as I understand, the birth control pill works in that way too.
There's a small percentage possibility that it can work. That's sort of like the backup method.
Yes. Of the birth control pill.
Right. But with the birth control pill, it takes a long time for the endometrium to thin out, for the lining to thin out. So it's not what they're saying with Plan B is that it doesn't. You need longer than just one pill.
So what we're seeing with the research that you and I just read, which was medical research, not blogs, is that it appears that Plan B is actually less of an abortifacient than the birth control pill. So why are we seeing so much outrage about Plan B where we don't really see a lot of Christian outrage about the birth control pill?
Well, I think I thought that the difference was the outrage about Plan B was that people thought it was the abortion pill.
So it's just a whole bunch of people that are totally misled.
Right. So they were thinking that Plan B was, I thought for a long time Plan B was the abortion pill.
Okay.
So, but what you're saying is the abortion pill, the one that, you go in your doctor and you have the cramping and it flushes out, is different than Plan B.
Completely different.
So I think the reaction that's happening is two things. One, that a minor is able to go in and get a drug like this without a prescription, without parental consent. That's one. Yeah. And then two, confusion over it being the abortion pill instead of it being Plan B.
Right. So just to clarify for anyone watching, Plan B, the way it works, if you have a pregnancy and that little zygote is nestled in your womb,
Mm-hmm.
the Plan B pill does nothing. You will
Right.
not be unpregnant. It is not an abortion pill,
Mm-hmm.
just to clarify.
It's delayed ovulation.
Delayed ovulation.
So that it holds you from ovulating.
It works.
Till
Yes,
sperm is
it
out of your
works.
system.
It works in the same way as the birth control pill, and actually has less of a chance of washing out a fertilized egg than the birth control pill.
Right. Although I think it is interesting, the FDA has refused to take it off the label because there is still a very small
chance
small
that could
percentage that could happen.
Right.
And so maybe to hedge all their bets and to not, mislead anyone, they're keeping it on there.
And I think different Christians have different views too on whether or not that constitutes an abortion. I mean, I took the birth control pill before we had children. I don't really, if a fertilized egg doesn't attach in my womb and flushes out because I took the pill, I don't consider that an abortion. I know other people do. But it's kind of splitting hairs, since it's really looking like Plan B does not do that in most cases.
Right.
Like one of the studies we read, put Plan B into a petri dish with already fertilized eggs, and those fertilized eggs continue to grow.
Right.
So it's not looking likely, although there is obviously a small enough chance that they're continuing to say on the literature that it's possible.
I would say, and I think probably a majority of Christians don't have a problem with the birth control pill.
I agree.
Most Protestant
agree.
And evangelical Christians don't.
Right.
It's really Catholics who still
Yeah.
have, we still
Sure.
have reservations.
But I will
about the
say
pill.
that I have seen my evangelical friends who I know take the birth control pill being outraged over this abortion pill. So I do think that ignorance abounds on this one, and sometimes I do wonder if it's willful ignorance.
I wonder, but see, I don't think it can be just that, because there's another layer here, which is, your minor daughter going in.
I agree.
And this isn't just like she needs cold medicine. There are so many other issues going on here.
Okay, so abortion chat aside, because we've kind of established this is no more of a risk of abortion than the birth control pill, you have concerns about the age thing. Talk about that.
Well, I think it's different than my daughter going in and picking up some NyQuil or some, Advil cold and sinus. This is such it's on a completely different moral plane. And I think that to, at the same time, I can understand that for girls who are in a completely different context and who may not have, a parent involved in their lives, access to medical care is important. But I'm still really not, I don't know, there's something really troubling to me about, I don't even know how to say it. Like, it's just, okay, I'm just going to, it's troubling to me that there's this idea that whatever a teenager wants, they should be able to access at any time for any reason without any parent knowing what is going on. And especially when it comes to issues of sex, I really believe we wouldn't even let our kids, we're so cautious about our kids, like, not having access to junk food and sugary drinks. Like, why would we not extend the same level of something which can be life-altering for them?
Well, here's my take. I think we have different views on this.
Okay.
The parents should be in charge of supervising the kids and raising them in such a way that, hopefully they aren't having a lot of promiscuous sex. But if they already are, the birth control is not sex. Like, I am just totally in favor of access to birth control, because I think if a teenager already has the method and means to be having sex, I want them to have the birth control. So my job as a parent, for me, is to educate and talk with my kids and encourage them. Our family values will be that they delay sexual activity. But at the end of the day, that's their decision, and so my parental duties to me is to educate, but I want birth control to be available to every teenager, because if you are old enough to consent to have sex, you're old enough to have birth control. It's crazy to me that we would try to withhold that from teenagers when they're old enough to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. For me, it's very similar along the lines of, I mean, I feel like, why can't we use that argument then for alcohol and drugs? I mean, if they can, we can teach them our values, but should we not then lower the age of consent for them to be able to go buy cigarettes and liquor?
Well, then that argument would be that we legalize teens being not allowed to have sex. See, again, the birth control is not the sex.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the drug or alcohol argument, that would be that we lower the age limit and allow them to drink or use drugs, but we raise the age limit of an AA group.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I just, when it comes to sexuality, though, I don't see it as being, if you're saying, I think it should be accessible to all. In some ways, for kids, when you do that, you're kind of giving them permission to engage in sexual activity. I mean, I remember it being like, well, why don't we just pass out condoms in high school because we know they're already having sex anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you have that sort of attitude, you do?
Yeah, I do. Because they already have permission to have sex. I mean, a teenager has permission to have sex, implicitly. Now, they may not have...
How do they have permission to have...
And any teenager can go have sex.
Well, any teenager can go down to the liquor store and have someone older go in there and pick up.
Right. So it's up to me as a parent to supervise in such a way that my teenager is not hopefully going out and having sex.
Right.
But they have permission to have sex.
Right.
They do.
Okay.
They just do. I mean, every teenager can go have sex if they want
permission,
to have sex.
But I think, they have the ability. I agree they have the ability to go have sex. I don't believe they have the permission.
Well, I don't think it implies permission. I think it implies, and honestly, I mean, for me, I would want my kid, if they were sexually active, to have access to birth control. Mm-hmm. Because they're going to know my feelings about it. Mm-hmm. And the chances are they're not going to come and talk to me if they decide, which I cannot stop them. I can do everything I can to educate and supervise, but I cannot stop them if they decide to have sex, and I hope that it's available to them if they feel like they can't come to me. I mean, I just saw way too many religious teenagers, my sister included, get pregnant because they did not have a way to obtain birth control.
Okay, look at that right there, though. Was it they got pregnant because they didn't have a way to have birth control, or they got pregnant because they chose to have sex?
Well, both. Obviously,
okay,
both.
So it's right. So it's not just one or the other.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about sex. It's not just like, oh, I got pregnant because I didn't use birth control.
But 80% of teenagers are having sex, and I also think it's myopic of Christians too. Like, non-Christian families are not even raising their kids to delay sexual activity. Mm-hmm. So they don't even have that value growing up.
Right.
So we've got to, we can't just go like, well, as Christians, we want them to delay sex, so everybody delays sex so we don't give permission. Mm-hmm. We've got to look at society as a whole. And there's teenagers who don't share these values, and some of ours may not too. Mm-hmm. And we've got to make it available for them. So
I think we can make it, I don't necessarily have a problem with, I have a problem with saying you have permission to go do this if you so choose. Because I think part of raising them with certain values is to say, this isn't permissible until such and such a time. Mm-hmm. Or until, because it's not in your best interest, it's not it's not healthy for you. And having, to just make it a problem of, I'm just going to get, we just want to prevent pregnancy at all costs. Mm-hmm. I think it sort of dichotomizes the act of sex with what usually results, which is a good thing, which is having a baby. To say like, well, you should be able to go do what you want without any of the consequences whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I really think that is a sort of a faulty value, because you're separating out sex from what it's supposed to be intended for, which is relationship and family and having children.
But that's the Christian worldview.
Yeah,
Not every teenager is growing up in a Christian home or shares that worldview. They're going to have sex. Would you, if you're a teenager, would you ever tell your teenager, I don't want you to drink, but if you ever get drunk, I want you to call me to pick you up?
Yes, yeah, I would say that. Mm-hmm.
So then why wouldn't you apply the same thing to, I really want you to delay sexual activity, but if you do become sexually active, I want you to use a condom? I mean, I think
here's the thing. I will educate them on sexuality and like what will happen. If what I'm going to say though is, if you do, you're going to be responsible for what happens. I'm not going to say, oh, and so if you do, here's the box in my room in case you need to pick up a few supplies you got with your friends tonight. Because really that's me condoning it. That's saying, we don't have this value, but wink, wink, just in case. Here's I really think you're dichotomizing it out.
Well,
you're not
wouldn't it
being
be
consistent.
Okay, so in that case, wouldn't it be nice then if instead of you having to provide the condoms, they could get them at school? So you're not condoning it, but it's available to them?
I don't necessarily have a problem with it being in the public sphere, because I realize there are other people who have a completely different value system. And like I said, that kids are growing in a completely different lifestyle and a completely different context. Yes, they should have access to medical help and medical intervention. However, I don't think that, but see, because sexuality is behavior too. It's not just like, drinking is behavior. So can we I think we can tangibly say that kids having sex in an early age is not healthy behavior for a teenager. So we could agree on that. We could say also the drinking at a young age is not healthy behavior for a teenager. So would I want it at the school? No. I mean, would I want it at the doctor's office? Sure. But at the school, no.
Well, I don't think, and again, the analogy would not be that you would provide drinks at the school. The analogy would be that the school provides a hotline where drunk kids can call and get a ride home when they've made a bad choice. So to me, again, it's like, I think that teenagers are going to make poor choices on this forever and ever, amen.
Yeah.
I just do. And I would rather...
Teenagers as a whole, because I don't know that all teenagers are going to do these things.
No, well, no.
I mean, are you
not
sort of
all
like saying, well, I
but-
guess we're just going to sort of give up because we know by the time they're
Oh,
14.
no, absolutely not. I will absolutely encourage my kids to delay sexual activity. Absolutely. That's what we will teach.
Yeah, but you're saying
But that's what my parents taught.
Yeah.
And my sister had a baby at 16.
But I think there are do you think there could be other factors there too? Like, it's not just, she didn't get pregnant because she didn't have access to birth control. She got pregnant because she made decisions and had unprotected sex. And also, she didn't feel that she could talk with someone about the relationship she was in, or, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it's all of the above. I mean, our sex talk was don't have sex until you're married. The end. The end.
Right,
There's no
right.
conversation about
No, and
that.
I think that's the key right there. I think that's so important. Is it can't stop at don't have sex, the end. Like, it's about relationship. And really, sex is about relationship.
Yeah.
It's about your relationship with your kids, about your kids' relationship with you, their relationship with their peers, their relationship with themselves, and I believe their relationship with God or a higher power. Like, so it's when we say that sex is just like behavior and preventing things, we're missing that it's about relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. Again, those are all values that you teach in your home.
Yeah.
And you hope that they follow those. But if they don't, the stakes are pretty high.
Yeah.
Really high. And I want a backup plan, I mean, I want a backup plan for my teenager if they choose not to follow the ethics that we're giving down in the home. Because they may not,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just being realistic. I don't
Is
think it's
having a
giving
baby
up.
a really horrible thing?
For a teenager? Are you kidding?
No.
Having a baby as a teenager, it's a horrible thing. My sister was pregnant through her high school experience. She had to go to college with a toddler. Yeah. I mean, I think it changed the course of her life. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't think there are a lot of moms who, give birth at a young age, and I think we have this cultural norm now where it's considered bad to have a baby at a young age, and you're supposed to wait to have a baby until you're older.
Well, I think you should wait to have the baby until you are secure in a home and able to provide for that baby. I mean, I think pregnancy at 16 is bad. factually bad.
Yeah, I think it's not. I certainly don't think it's ideal, but I don't think that. I don't know that it's always bad in all situations. I mean, I think it's that our culture now is set up.
I think an unplanned pregnancy is not ideal for any girl.
I totally disagree on that because a lot of people have babies that are unplanned.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're saying then is that the only. Look at this baby.
I know. Well, no, I mean, I don't think. Well, maybe we should say unwanted. I mean, I'm holding an unplanned.
Right.
But
yeah. See.
But,
yeah. 3 of my kids were unplanned.
Yeah, but that's so completely different than a teenager where it's unplanned and unwanted. And I mean, I just, truly I look at my sister's life and how the whole trajectory was totally changed. I mean,
okay, but
changed.
Would you really say her baby is unwanted?
Well, of course not.
Okay.
The baby's not unwanted,
right.
But that life stage was.
Well, yeah, okay, but
say
that, but as soon as we start using language like unwanted babies, we're really saying, the only time we want human life is when all the ducks are in a row and it's convenient and things are, and we are on the right path and we can check off this box and like it's ready. I think to say.
Well, I mean, this is where you as a Catholic and me as a.
It's divergent.
As a Christian, may diverge a little bit. In my opinion, God's given us free will on when we can plan our pregnancies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got science, and it's.
Yeah.
My opinion is that God gives us free will, and that every woman should have agency over when she gives birth. And I think for some, birth control is a part of it. Okay, just a minute. All right, should we wrap this up?
Our longest episode ever.
All right, we're curious to hear what you guys think. The news that we're sharing you about the pill and it not being the abortion pill, is that news to you? Did you believe that it was the abortion pill? Do you have different opinions on it? And then do you have concerns about the age limit that has been recently changed? And do you think it should be accessible to kids? Or do you think that it should be harder for kids to obtain? We'd love to hear. Okay!